Hey there folks, and welcome back. We have transitioned over from our Friday night spotlight show to Pinal Prep Spotlight, brought to you by Jones Ford Buick GMC, your hometown dealer for more than 50 years. Again, like last year, as you guys can see, this is not David. Joining me today is Joey Chenoweth, and we're going to jump into winter sports. And for this show, we are each going to give you guys our top 3 boys basketball teams in Pinal County right now. So just kicking things off, Joey, what's your number 3 team?
Number 3 team, and honestly, it's been a little easy to pick up the top 3 team. I got some high hopes for a couple other teams, but they haven't really been keeping up so far. But number 3 team is Florence. Now Florence, I saw them at a preseason tournament where they got destroyed by Coolidge. I was like, oh, maybe this is a rebuilding year. They lost Malik Payton, who was probably the best player in all of 3A last year. And so I thought, oh, maybe this will be a tough year, but they'll be back. But since then, they've seemed to have built it pretty fast because they're on a roll again. They're 12-3. We'll see on Thursday what the official AIA rankings are, but as of now on Max Preps, they're ranked 5th in 3A. And there hasn't been one person to step up to fill in Malik Payton's shoes. That's obvious. Those are big shoes to fill. But a couple players have really stepped up. Chris Farner has been the most complete player, as was expected prior to the season. He's had 16 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and really is the guy who controls the game for Florence. But somebody who's really stepped up, who didn't get a lot of playing time in previous years, is Braden Farley, who's quite the shooter from the perimeter. He's really added an extra weapon to Florence that they really needed after Payton left. He's actually leading the team in scoring with 18 points, also has 4 rebounds and 2 blocks. We're going to see on Monday how they do against Coolidge if they've narrowed that gap a bit since when they started in the preseason. But I think it's been really honestly quite impressive how they've been able to rebound from Payton's graduation.
All right, so I agree with Joey on this one. The number 3 team I also picked is Florence, and Joey kind of touched upon it. Florence might start off slow at the start of the season. They lose a couple guys, and you think, okay, this is going to be a real rebuild year. But the stuff that David Silva has done over the years for the Gophers is fantastic. You really shouldn't underestimate them because it's more like a reload. You don't really know what you're going to expect from these new guys you haven't really seen. But come playoff time and everything, hey, you can expect these Gophers to be in there and contending for a state title. Joey, what's your number 2 team?
All right, so 2 and 1 are pretty close, and you can actually see that because they played each other in a tournament over the holidays. And my number 1 team beat my number 2 team by only 3 points. So I'm just going to go off that for right now. We'll see how things change. But number 2 is Coolidge. Now Coolidge also lost a lot of players. They lost probably the best shooter in 3A, one of the best shooters in 3A history, in Nick Harrison. And they lost the best post player in the whole county last year, in Cam Stewart. But that hasn't stopped them at all. They are, if you watch them, they are, I can't imagine how annoying they are to play for the opponents. Every one of their players is either a great shooter or they are a tenacious defender and rebounder. And so you have guys like Josh Pratt. There's really only 2 seniors who get a lot of playing time in the rotation. Josh Pratt is one of them with 11 points. The other is MJ Clegg, who has a whole new set of confidence this year compared to last year. He's at 15.7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and he is a menace. His arms look like they go on. He looks like he should be 7 feet with the length of arms he has, and he's just all over the court, getting in everybody's way. But they're being led by Braden Gand, who in his junior year is really taking a leap, and everybody knew this guy is going to be a special player, and he's showing it his junior year. He has 19 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, and for a team this good, and they're 12-2, they're currently Max Preps has them at 2nd in the whole 3A conference. For a team to be this good and have a freshman point guard on the team, which they do with Carlos Coronado, is really saying something about both the quality of the team and the quality of that freshman. Carlos Coronado, his stats aren't up there yet, but he leads the team with somebody like somebody who's quite a bit older than he really is. He's going to be the future of that program. I mean, that defense is going to translate, and I think they're going to have a very good playoff run.
All right, so you know what? Real quickly, I'm just going to say this isn't going to be the Joey Chenoweth show. So going off of that, I also agree with Joey. My number 2 team is Coolidge. The interesting thing here, I think, is going to be how this whole region play turns out. With the 3A Central region, you have Coolidge, you have Florence, but you can't really sleep on Thatcher, Santan Foothills, or ALA Ironwood. So with these games coming up, it's going to be interesting to see not just how this Coolidge-Florence rivalry turns out, but how these other teams impact and, you know, just what kind of noise they can make and try to throw off some of these rankings that, you know, we kind of think are going to come out later this week. And just with that, Joey, what's your number 1 team?
Well, the number 1 team is Maricopa. You know, I remember 3 years ago during the preseason story about the preview for them and getting to the gym and looking at the team and being like, is this a junior varsity team? And now they're the varsity team and they didn't win anything that year. And 3 years later, they're now kind of a powerhouse in the 6A conference. They started off a little slow, 3-3, but since then they've won every single game, including a game at the Footprint Center on Saturday. And they're doing it with an influx of talent like I've never seen in Pinal County. They're led by a couple brothers, and Kevin Patton Jr. and Clyde Patton. They both transferred here from AZ Compass Prep, the top school in the whole country. They transferred in and immediately. They're making names for themselves, especially Kevin Patton Jr., who has 20 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks a game. He's going to go to a Division I college, and he might have some pro prospects at 6'8". Kalai, his brother, is more of a he's younger and he's a little more tenacious. He's 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Kyrie Rashad in the post is averaging a double-double, and then R.G. Lee, a transfer who just was able to start playing, he's really coming in at point guard and making a big difference as well. It's kind of ridiculous how quickly they turned this program around, but they feel like they have a real chance of making a big run in 6A playoffs.
All right, just like the other 2 teams, my number 1 team also is Maricopa. So far, the Rams are 16-3. Their first 2 losses against Goodyear, Estrella Foothills, and Surprise Shadow Ridge, they were only by 4 and 3 points. Their biggest loss came to Mesa just about a month ago. That was 46-33. And looking at their schedule, they only have 8 regular season games left, and their toughest opponents are going to be Tucson and Phoenix Mountain Point. I think that those 2 Tucson games, because they are in the same region, those are really going to be telling to, you know, where this Maricopa team stacks up in the whole 6A conference and potentially what they can do in the once the playoff starts and making those deep runs. Joey, is there anything else you want to add?
Well, yeah, so like I said, I have my eye on a couple other teams in Santan Foothills and ALA Ironwood. Hopefully they can maybe start putting something together, maybe Post of Butte even.
All right, and that does it for the Joey Chenoweth show.
5 stars.
Or as, you know, we're calling it now, the Pinal Prep Spotlight. Be sure to check out Pinal Central over the week for all of our winter sports coverage, and also return next week to find out what we have for girls basketball.